I want to give you a little bit of information on the photo managers, and then I'm going to hand it to Holly, who will do part of our presentation for us. And I'm going to get my slides ready. The photo manager's mission statement is that the photo managers is a global industry leader empowering our member businesses to best serve the diverse needs of our clients. And Holly and I are both photo managers, and we both have been around a while and have done and love our jobs. So we're super excited. According to Matrix Boz of Phototorial, people take 5.3 billion photos every day, or 61,400 each second. I can't even can you imagine? I can't even. So it is a lot of photos, and everybody has a lot of photos. And so that's why the photo managers are so important, is that we help people take the chaos of their photos and get them organized so they can be shared, they can be printed, they can be shared with future generations, and they're organized, which, if you have photos and you're not organized, it does drive you a little bit crazy. Well, why is there a need for the professional photo manager? Well, in the devices that we have, and by the way, most families have their photos on 5 to 7 different devices in their house. It can be old external hard drives, it can be camcorders, it can be 8mm, or who even has a VHS player anymore? It can be everything. And so what we do is we help make the connections with those things. We help people tell their stories. They go through and learn their memories and remember. They get historical information, and there's a lot going on, but it's so fun. Now, how can we as the photo managers help you? Well, you can become a pro organizer, and Mary is going to put some of the links to these things in our chat right now. But we have pro for photo organizers. We have classes for the pros. There are different levels that you can come in. You can go to the website and learn so much about that. Then you can hire a professional organizer like Holly and I to organize your photos, or some photo organizers, I know I do, help coach people who want to do it themselves, but they still need a little bit of help and support. And so some organizers do that. And we have, if we are a photo organizer, we've taken a bunch of classes and gotten a lot of education. So we and made a pledge of how we're going to work and our ethics. And so it's extensive, but it's absolutely worth it. Now, another thing you can do, and how we can help you today, is you can take classes within the photo managers organization. And those classes are going to go on sale starting July 14th. So if you, and I know Mary's going to put our academy up. And so you can go to our academy, you can look at some of the classes that we have, but wait till the 14th, because then you can save 25% off. So those are some of the little things with the photo managers that we wanted to let you be aware of, because we realized that a lot of people don't know that our services exist, and we wanted to share that with you. But now I'm going to unshare my screen. There you go. And turn it back to Holly so that we can hear her presentation. And thank you so much for being here, Holly.
Oh, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you for kicking us off today. I love the photo managers. They have really been the best network, the best support, and you can join at so many different levels to just kind of meet you where you're at. So check it out if you're interested. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Thank you for joining us today. I can't wait to share some tips on how to help you organize and keep your memories safe. My name is Holly Corbett. Just by way of a little bit of an introduction, I'm a certified professional photo manager, and I've been doing this work for 15 years, so a good long time. I own a business called Capture Your Photos, and I specialize in digital photo organizing. So what we're going to talk about today is how to protect and back up your digital photos. So it's something that I do every single day of the week, and I just love the work that I do. I work one-on-one with clients, as well as I have a series of online courses called the Photo Organizing Blueprint, and you can find those on the Photo Manager in the academy. So if you're kind of going through today and you're like, yeah, I kind of like what she has to say, I could learn a little bit more, go check out the academy. And if you want to get a little deal, wait until July and everything is going to go on sale. So I do that. And then I live in Stillwater, Minnesota. I saw at least one Minnesota popping up there. And I live with my husband, and we have three kids, and they are mostly out of the house. So we're just learning how to be empty nesters over here in Minnesota. So thank you all for joining us today. All right, so I want to set the stage for our topic today. And so I'd like to invite you on a little trip back in time. This is the first camera that I ever owned. My dad bought it for me when I was like 11 or 12. I'm not sure which it was, but it was something like that. I think it cost about $25. And I was so excited because it came with both film and a flash. So that was really exciting. Since it was a film camera, you had to use your resources wisely, not like today where you can just click away because it doesn't cost you a dime. Back in the day, you got, 20 or 15 or whatever your film size was, and that's how many you took. And so I had to, make choices. And I thought it was really interesting. So just about a week ago, as I was thinking about this presentation, I went into my box of old stuff, and I pulled out this album. So this is an actual picture of an album from the first pictures that I took with my new camera. So I thought it was interesting because we take pictures today of very similar things. The top ones were there were some friends. We were in my bedroom, I think, doing something. My sister's graduation, me at Girl Scout camp. The ones on the right are Mackinac Island. So I don't know if we have any Michiganders in here, but that was a wonderful vacation that we took. And then, of course, a picture of my dog. So I thought that was kind of just fun to just go back and visit what I was taking pictures of with my first camera. So my husband bought us our first digital camera. Whoops. When I went back in 2005. So kind of those mid 2000s. And I find in the work that I do, that's about the time that a lot of us got our digital cameras. So I obviously knew how to take pictures, but I had no clue what to do with them after we took them. So early on, my husband was in charge of taking the photos from the camera to the computer, again, circa 2005. And so he'd plug it in, and off the photos went into the computer universe. Not always exactly sure where they went. But that's just, we were all learning back then. And, mind you, this was only 20 years ago. So this wasn't that long ago. All right. Then 2012, I got my first smartphone. When at this time, cloud services were just becoming a thing, but they weren't at all mainstream. By then, I had taken over the task of managing my family's photos, and I was doing it with software. By this time, enough people had lost photos, whether they lost them, with the computer fails, or they just did it because they didn't know how to manage the digital world. And so people were understanding that backup was important. And so how we backed up back then was we put things on CDs and DVDs, or we put things, actually, it was CDs back then, or maybe an external hard drive. So people were starting to back up, and they were starting to realize that was an important thing. And often we created multiple copies. So, and I'm going to tell you just from the work I do, we didn't always label them very well. So by the late teens, cloud services were becoming more mainstream, but still a little confusing to the average user. By 2020, 90% of photos were taken by smartphones, and in the years to follow, the increase in photos being backed up to cloud services has risen significantly, and we all know that. In fact, many people are backing up to multiple cloud service, albeit not always very intentionally or strategically. Today, most people are taking most of their photos using their smartphones. And guess what? Cloud services are still a little confusing. What this evolution has led to is many people having digital photos in multiple places. Kimberly talked a little bit about this, including old and new computers, phones, CDs and DVDs, external hard drives, memory cards, flash drives, and yes, cloud services. The reason I wanted to take you down this little trip down memory lane is first, it's kind of fun to reminisce about those old cameras and how we took pictures in the 1980s. But second, it also reminds us that we haven't really been at this digital photo thing very long. So we have to give ourselves some grace that if our photos aren't perfectly organized. It's okay. It's okay that they aren't. But here's the good news. We know how to do this now. We're getting better at being strategic with our photos, and we know that the future is digital. So, in that way, knowledge is power. Here's the harder news. Because we know that the trend is digital and that people aren't printing photos in the same way that they're not creating the sticky albums like I created back in the 80s. We have an even bigger responsibility because of this to keep our digital photos backed up and safe so that our family stories and legacy will be passed on. You can have a digital collection of photos that is uber organized, but if it's not backed up and kept somewhere safe, it's at risk. So today, we're going to walk through 4 actions that will keep your digital photos safe, whether it's those old precious memories or the ones you took yesterday. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, action number 1 is to take inventory. In order to preserve your memories, you need to know where they are. I mean, that's kind of it's obvious, but I feel like sometimes we just have to say it. You need to dive into those computers, the boxes, the bags, the drawers, and you need to make a list. When I talk about your digital collection, again, I'm talking about photos that are on your computer or computers in some cases, your phone, your external hard drives, your memory cards, your old flash drives, those old CDs, and all of the cloud services that you might be backing up your photos to intentionally or sometimes not intentionally. So why do we need to take inventory? There's 3 reasons. The first is it just gets you started. Nothing is more overwhelming than not knowing where to start. And the number one thing that people tell me is that they're overwhelmed. Second, it allows you to create a plan, set some goals, and take the project in pieces to prioritize what needs your attention first for both peace of mind and preservation. And number 3, it gives you an opportunity to back up your collection. A collection that is all over the place is really, really difficult to keep safe. To create an inventory of your collection, you simply need to make a list of where everything is living. So here is a photo and video inventory form that I use in my courses. If you think it would be helpful to have this form and some tips on getting started, you can hop over to my website when we're done here at capturephotos.com/free guide. And I think Mary is going to go ahead and put this link into the chat as well, so you can grab that. All right, action number 2 is to create a digital hub. Once you've figured out where everything is, it's time to figure out where your photos are going to live or where you're going to store your photos. And we call that place your digital hub. So what is a digital hub? It's a centralized location where you consolidate and store all of your digital photos and videos. So we recommend that you store your photos on either the hard drive of your computer or an external drive if you don't have enough space on your computer. So usually when I say this, there are 2 questions. The first is, well, what about the cloud? Can't I just store my photos there? I love a cloud site for backup, accessing photos from different devices, and sharing photos. And we're going to talk more about that because I strongly believe in the cloud for backup. But I don't recommend relying on a cloud service 100% as the one and only place that your photos live. If you've ever had a technical snafu with a cloud service, you know the frustration and sometimes the loss that can come if this is the only place that your photos are living. 15 years of experience rescuing photos from countless cloud services, and the fact that so many big name cloud services have made major policy changes in the past 5 years has taught me that owning a copy of my photos, original copy of my photos even, on a hard drive or an external drive is your first line of preservation. The second question I get is, what about a photo organizing software or an app? Isn't that my digital hub? I want you to think of photo organizing software, apps, and cloud services as tools to help us get organized and to manage and to access our collections. Where we store our photos is just slightly different. I love a photo organizing process or system that not only allows me to store that full resolution original copy of my photos on my computer or an external drive, but also includes a cloud service that gives me the ability to access my photos from all the places, including my phone, and provides a backup. And because I'm a little lazy, it's a bonus when that system has a camera roll app that automatically transfers my photos from my phone to my computer. Now, at the risk of getting into the weeds, I want to give you some examples of photo organizing system setups that meet this criteria simply using the native tools that are already built into your computers. So I also want to say that these are just examples. There are many systems out there that do a fine job. So this is by no means the only solutions, but I'm just kind of giving you some simple examples of tools that are probably already sitting on your computers. No matter what system you choose, my recommendation for you is to use this criteria. Fun AI tools are great. I enjoy them as well. But choosing a process or a system that keeps your photos safe should be your number one priority. All right, so let's talk to the PC users out there. Microsoft Windows and OneDrive are the native tools that are built into your PC. If you have a Microsoft 365 subscription, you may know this or not know this. You are already paying for 1 terabyte of OneDrive space, which is Microsoft's cloud service. You can simply store your photos on your PC hard drive and organize them in File Explorer, like you're seeing here, in a digital hub folder in the OneDrive Pictures folder. By doing this, the photos in that digital hub folder are going to sync with OneDrive, giving you a cloud backup and allowing you to access them from your phone and other devices. It also allows you to save that original copy on your computer, which again is our goal because I want you to own your photos. And bonus, there's a camera roll on that OneDrive app that automatically transfers your photos from your phone to your computer, which is one of my favorite things ever. Now, I'm going to be real honest with you. This is not the sexiest photo organizing system out there, but it is a very practical solution for my PC users that really just want to keep their photos safe, be able to find their photos, and they don't want to spend a lot of time learning or managing software. All right, so that's our PC people. Mac users. My Mac users most often use Apple Photos to organize and manage their photos, which honestly, I love. I love it. The app provides the option to save a full resolution copy of your photos on a hard drive while also sharing it with iCloud so you can access and manage it from all the places and have a backup. And bonus, your iPhone will automatically transfer your photos from your phone to your computer. Now, the tricky thing about the Mac, in my opinion, is the setup, which quite frankly, that kind of fits for all systems as you're getting systems set up. But once you get it set up, it works amazingly well. It looks like this. Apple stores your photos in what they call a photos library on your Mac. Your photos library default location is in your pictures folder, which you can find and view in your in Finder if you open that up. The Photos app is really how you interact with your photos. It's the tool that reads the photos library so you can view and organize your photos. So in the Photos app settings, you have the option to download your originals to your computer or optimize them. Optimizing your photos means that the originals are stored, in this case, in iCloud. And what you see in your computer is basically thumbnails or very small images. You can't tell the difference when you're looking at your computer. They look the same, but that's essentially what is happening. So you kind of have to be aware of what these settings do. So I want you to own your photos. So selecting download originals to this Mac allows you to own that full resolution copy of your photos while still enjoying the accessibility and sharing that iCloud provides. So just a note, this is the pink in the pink bright asterisk thing. Before you just go to your computer and turn on this setting, you have to make sure that you have enough space in on your computer for your photos library. So you have to do a little background work saying, okay, how big is my photo library? How much storage do I have on? Because if you don't do that, you're going to fill up your computer right away and you're not going to want to do that. Okay, so just make sure that you do check that before you just go ahead and change that setting. All right, one of the trends that we're seeing is people coming to us that only have a smartphone and or an iPad or tablet. They don't have a computer. Phones and tablets don't have the hard drive storage space to support most full memory collections. As a result, these people are really only relying on a cloud service, which is not our first choice. So here's just a couple options for you. My first choice for you, to be honest, would be to just invest in an inexpensive, computer to store your photos. You can continue to enjoy them on your phone or iPad, but just having something that is syncing back to a computer or that you can keep a copy on is a really good idea. You know, one option that's not listed here is if you have someone in your life that is willing to help you kind of store things or whatever, you can keep it on a external drive and just use someone else's computer or something like that. But I really want you to not just rely on the cloud for your photos. Second thing, or second option is to purchase a device you plug into your phone that downloads your photos onto that device, which at least gives you a backup. But here's the kicker here. If you have a phone that you're optimizing your photos on, so remember optimizing your photos, you're storing everything in the cloud. If you plug in those devices, they may or may not be storing your original photos. So if you use one of those devices, you have to be storing your original photos on your computer or on your phone. So again, just kind of have to always be aware of kind of storage and what type of photos that you're keeping on each of your devices. So I know we went into the weeds a little bit on that, and I know that sometimes that's a little confusing, but I think it's really important for you to understand that it's in your best interest to be really intentional with how you store your photos so you can keep them safe. All right, action number 3 is consolidate your digital photos. Consolidating your photos into a digital hub can be as easy as creating a central folder. We always call that folder your original sources folder. Then creating a folder for each of your sources. So one for cloud sites, one for your computer, one for external hard drive, one for flash drives, memory cards. Again, you're seeing the theme of where we're getting from all of our photos, right? Um, and then what you're going to do is you're going to copy your photos from those original sources into this central hub right here. You don't need any type of software, app, or cloud service to accomplish this. You can do it either on a Mac in Finder or on a PC in File Explorer. You're simply copying and pasting. There are 3 things that this does for you. The first is it gives you one place to go to find what you're looking for instead of having to go to all of those places. Granted, it's probably still a mess, and I would highly encourage you to deduplicate it and organize it. But if you do nothing else, you gather everything into one place, it's going to save you time if you ever have to go look for photos. The second thing that it does for you is if you decide to use some type of software or app to organize and manage your photos, it makes it really easy to import into that system because, again, everything is in one place. And lastly, and most importantly, it allows you to back it up. Once again, it's really difficult to keep your photos backed up and safe when they're all over the place. All right, action number 4, make 3 copies of your digital hub. Backing up your photos is critical for preserving your memories and will literally save you if Mother Nature hits or technology fails you, which honestly happens all the time. So this is best practice for backup. Your first copy are your originals that are on a computer, hard drive, or external drive. Your second copy is a copy on an external drive that's different than copy number 1. And then the third is offsite. And so let's kind of take a little dive into each of these. So copy number 1, again, we talked about it on a computer, hard drive, or an external drive. The challenge that a lot of people are having these days is not having very much hard drive storage space on your computers. So at some point, computer people decided that everyone should just store everything in the cloud. versus owning their data. So they started making and actively selling computers with really small hard drives. And since computers didn't know any better, they bought them, and now they're running out of storage space on their computers and have to turn to external drives. This happened to me personally. I was buying, this has been a couple of years ago now, I was going to buy a new computer. So I went into one of the big box stores and talked to a young gentleman, and he like was trying to do everything he could to talk me out of buying a computer that had hard drive storage space. And I just kind of let him talk because I was kind of curious about what, his thinking was and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I said, hey, this is what I do and this is why I like storage space. So I educated him that day to maybe not quite sell so hard on the low hard drives. But I honestly love working with people that have enough hard drive space. If you can on your computer, it's just an easier, nicer solution in some cases. But here are a few things that I want you to consider. Number one, if you're buying an external drive, I like solid state drives. I feel like they're more reliable and they're definitely faster than your traditional drives. It's basically newer technology. I think our older drives in the portable form at least are going to go away sooner rather than later because I'm seeing a real big shift toward the solid state drives. Um, when I have my clients buy drives at the beginning of our projects, I always have them buy a new project drive, and I tell them to buy 2 terabytes, which seems like a lot of space. And most people are not going to fill that up just with their one project, but it gives you room to grow. It gives you room to work with photos so you can keep that copy of your original sources while still organizing a copy of your other stuff. So it's nice to have something a little bit larger so you don't run out of space. Secondly, if you're storing your photos on an external drive, I recommend switching it out every 3 to 5 years. Research has told us that this is the average life of an external drive. I have some that are far older than that, and I've had some fail in less than that. So you just always have to be careful about, just be aware of that and just have your backups in place. And then the third thing is if you buy a new computer, again, I recommend that you buy one with at least 1 terabyte of hard drive space. It's just easier than having to connect an external drive every time you want to do something with your photos. However, one reason that people use external drives is the flexibility of being able to pick it up and work with your photos on other computers, or maybe have your spouse work with your photos or something like that. If this is you and a cloud service doesn't serve this and provide this flexibility for you, just make sure that you take really good care of that external drive. All right, copy number 2. Typically, the second copy is on an external drive. It must be on a different device than your first copy, because if a storm takes out your computer and you've saved both copy 1 and copy 2 on that computer, your photos are gone. If you're a Mac user, I recommend using Time Machine to accomplish this, which is the built-in backup system for Mac. And if you're a PC user, I don't know, there's systems that you can do. I think it's just as easy to copy and paste now and then every month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever you think is appropriate for your second copy backup. I just think it's easiest to copy and paste if you're a PC user. All right, copy number 3 is offsite. This is the copy that is your go-to if something happens in your home. However, I've also used this when I've had technology fails and when I've gotten new computers. These days, offsite copies are usually cloud services because they can be set up to automatically back up your photos so you don't have to remember to update that external drive that you're storing offsite in the safe deposit box. In our perfect world, the cloud service that you use for backup is a true backup service, not the one that is syncing your library between devices, like the ones that I gave you an examples of. So iCloud and OneDrive are syncing services. And so there is a difference between backup and sync. Now, with that said, and the reason that you want to know the difference is because if you delete off of one when they're syncing, it's going to delete off the other. But here's my experience is that if you delete a large number of photos, which I had a client that just did, actually he was using OneDrive and he somehow, he doesn't know how, deleted a bunch of photos. He got an email like almost immediately. You're deleting a great number of photos. Are you sure you're wanting to do that? And then immediately I got the call. Holly, I think I have a problem. And so those cloud services do have things built in that make you aware when things happen. So keep that in mind. So when we talk about OneDrive and iCloud, for example, as backup, it is, I think they are a backup. It's just a little bit different. But with that said, also the chance of copy number two and copy number three going down at the same time, if you have three, is not very likely. So three copies somewhere is going to serve you. Now, with that said, I do love an automatic backup cloud service. Basically, what this does is it backs up your computers whenever you're on Wi-Fi and external drives if you have them plugged in. Um, it happens automatically, which for me, again, I'm just a little bit lazy when it comes to this stuff. So for me, it's $99 a year of peace of mind. My go-to for backup services that do the pure backup services is Backblaze, but there are others. You can find a link to Backblaze on the resources page on capturephotos.com, along with a bunch of my other favorite photo products if you're interested in learning more about that. Just a note though, in recent years, Microsoft did something with OneDrive that made it unable to back up to Backblaze and Carbonite, which is another one of those types of services, and likely others, which was a big fat bummer in my experience. But I still love Backblaze. It has saved my bacon multiple times. But PC users, if you're using OneDrive, you might need to get creative and maybe use Backblaze to back up your second copy on that external drive instead of copy number one that might be in OneDrive and syncing that way. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Lastly, I want to have a really honest conversation with you about paying for cloud services. I can't tell you the number of times that people have said to me, "Oh, I don't want to keep paying Apple, or I don't want to keep paying whoever for that cloud service." Um, let's just talk about that for a minute. When cloud services first became a thing, so many services were offering free storage space. So think Google, think Flickr, think Shutterfly. As the digital world progressed, that changed. And now what we know is if someone is offering free cloud storage, there's usually a catch. They're either compressing your photos, compromising your privacy, making you purchase something to store them, or making it really hard to get them out. I challenge you to adjust your thinking. Think about the things that you would grab if there was a fire or a major storm. Most people, after family members and pets, say that it's their memories and their photos. And I know that some of you out there may have experienced this very personally in the last years with all of the fires and storms that we've had. $3 a month or even $10 a month is 100% worth it to know that your memories are safe. Having a cloud service is the easiest, most efficient, and most reliable way to back up your digital photos, especially in the event of a storm or a fire. In reality, we are all still trying to figure out this digital photo thing, and every day new solutions are being created in response to the challenges that people are having. I've been doing this for 15 years professionally, and as you saw my story, we were trying to figure it out before that. I can tell you that I've 100% felt this industry-wide learning curve. None of us know what this is going to look like for the next generation. What we do know is that how we take and store our memories has changed dramatically since their inception. And if we want to pass on our family stories and legacy, we need to use the information we have today to make thoughtful and intentional choices about how and where we store our photos. Our kids, they're digital natives. With many of us, well, many of us grew up looking at those photo albums like I showed you. Our kids really love enjoying and sharing photos digitally. They love the albums too, but there's fewer of those than there used to be. So the digital is not going away. Every day we're seeing people create new and really fun ways to view digital things and enjoy our digital stuff. we need to keep up. We need to keep up with that. Which means that if we want future generations to love and embrace our family stories, we need to protect and safeguard our digital memories against whatever Mother Nature or technology throws at us. Here are some resources that might be helpful. I think most of these came in the chat during our presentation today. So that getting started guide is the capturephotos.com/free guide. The resources page has a bunch of resources for you, but specifically it has that Backblaze link if you're interested in checking out just a really good backup service. The Photo Organizing Blueprint is my series of online courses for the DIYers. So if you need just kind of that step-by-step, here is exactly how you go about organizing your photos, check those out. And of course, the photo manager community. There are many, many of us throughout the whole world that are ready and excited to help you get your photos organized and to help you do this work. So thank you so much for hanging with us today. And yeah, and I can take any questions that you have. I'll go ahead and stop the share. All right.
Wow. Thank you so much, Holly. That was absolutely fabulous. Whew, I better mind is so tired because you gave such great information.
It's a lot. It's so much stuff.
So what we're going to do is we're going to answer the questions on the screen. We're not going to do that. But does anybody have any questions they want to come off mute? They don't feel like typing and want to ask the questions? We have very, very shy people today. We don't normally
I
have
have a
this
question.
shyness. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
What do you think about the photo stick 2.0?
Yeah, you know, I'm kind of old school in the way that if you get your photos organized initially and kind of do what I said as far as go and find your stuff from all the places, your computer, there's a hunting and gathering aspect to that when you do it the first time. So if you can get everything into one place, I think that there are other ways that I would choose to get my photos from my phone, for example, to my computer than that particular tool because I think it adds unnecessary complexity, in my opinion. But I'm also a big believer in if it works for you, if that's the way that it works for you to get your photos from your phone to your computer, it's way better than never getting your photos off of your computer or off of your phone. But also remember that if you are optimizing on your phone, for example, you are not getting full originals on that photo stick.
This is one that plugs into the computer. It's a USB that plugs into
Okay.
the computer.
Yeah,
So-
they make all kinds.
Yeah, so you think it does work, but it's not your first choice.
It wouldn't be my first choice, but if it's working for you, it's better than nothing.
I haven't actually tried it yet. But I have it. I bought it, but haven't really used it yet. So just
I concur with Holly on that assessment. And I know that somebody had their hand up, but now they don't. Oh, there we go. Teresa. Yes, Miss Johnson, how can we help you?
How do you get rid of all the duplicates that you have made over 40 years?
Yes. Okay. That's an excellent question because it's everyone's problem. So, depending on if you're a Mac or PC user, there's different software that I like for each of those. But the first thing you have to do is get them all into one place because you can't deduplicate if they're all over the place. So if they're all in one place, the two software or apps that I like, if you're a Mac, I like Photo Sweeper, and it's really reasonably priced. The second one that I like for PCs is Duplicate Cleaner Pro. I like that as well. Also, just to another kind of point with the Mac users, if you're an Apple Photos user, in the past two operating systems, Apple has come out with a deduplicator that is within Apple Photos that works very well. If you are on, I mean, you can do it on your phone if you're an iPhone user, but if you are a Mac user and you have a Photos library, it does a very good job within a Photos library. So that's kind of a built-in tool that I was so excited about. And at first I was like, is it doing a good job? But in my experience now over the past year or two, it does a good job.
I'll absolutely thumbs up on that one. If you have an iPhone, just go to your photos, go to the very, very bottom. It says duplicate, and you won't believe how many duplicates you have for sure.
Yeah, it's under utilities.
Yes, at the very bottom of the main screen. Very bottom of the main screen. All right, let's get started with some of our questions. If you don't have enough memory on your computer, do you recommend running photo, whatever the PC equivalent is, on an external hard drive?
Um, so is this a Mac user? They're trying to run Apple Photos or
What do you recommend to do your photos on an external? How do you recommend getting them to the external hard drive is what I think they're trying to say.
No, what I'm trying to say
Oh, thank
is,
you.
um, you said that, make sure that you have enough memory, and if you, like me, have a zillion photos, you won't have enough memory on your computer. So do you recommend running photo off of an external hard drive rather than your, computer?
yeah, you can absolutely do that. So are you a Mac or a PC user?
Mac.
Mac. Okay. So you can create an Apple Photos library in the same way that it lives on your computer. You can make it live on that external drive so you have enough space. So
Okay.
yes, I absolutely recommend that. Mhm.
Okay. I asked another question later, and I'm just gonna ask it now and be like that person. Um,
It's okay.
how do you work with softwares like Lightroom or Photoshop, in your systems? Because that's my main concern, because I have, like all those catalogs are so annoying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I recommend that you have one digital hub. So you don't have some of your photos in Lightroom and some of your photos in Apple Photos and some of your photos here and that kind of thing. So establish one place as your digital hub and work in that. So like if, for example, you decide, okay, Apple Photos is going to be my digital hub because my phone photos are going to automatically go in there and I know that I'm going to get everything in there pretty easily. If you have certain photos that you want to do something special with and you need to do a little Photoshop on them or do a little editing that you can't get in the photo program you're using, go ahead and export those out and work with them in other programs. But I highly recommend that you keep one digital hub, and then if you need to work on something you can just export it out.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, Sharon, you have your hand up.
Yes, I did. So to go along with the other lady, I have photos all over the place and I have had to change my hard drive several times. And when it comes back, I had carbonate. It's like deep into columns and columns and columns in my Mac. Is there an easy way for some system to locate all the photos on my Mac?
That is a really hard question for me to answer without seeing what it is, because that can look many different ways. As photo managers, we have tools that I would never recommend to you that we can take deep dives into doing that kind of stuff. But there's a learning curve and there's a cost to those systems that I wouldn't recommend. And so I, I'm not sure I have a clear answer for you. Sometimes it's painful. I'm not going to lie. If you've had a loss and you had to recover things, sometimes there's some pain that goes into trying to pull those photos back into the top, which is why it's so important that you have those backups. So you don't have to do that, because if you have the backups in place, you never have to do that deep dive again. But if you're there already, it might just be a little painful to have to go grab them and pull them to the top. There are systems, but without seeing it, I don't want to just give you ideas that aren't going to work because I don't know your situation.
Yeah, it's like carbonite I've had for several years, and when they do a backup, they don't put things back in order.
Mhm.
It's like it's just thrown into your computer in a total disarray. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and I can't. Yeah, I'm sorry. Without seeing it, I'm afraid I don't want to give you bad advice. So, you know what? Reach out to a photo manager. I'm sure that if you are willing to invest a little bit of money in undoing that, they could definitely help you with that.
okay, all right, thank you.
And to give, thank you for that, Holly, because I was getting ready to say there are photo managers literally all over the world. So if you want a photo manager closer to where you are, or maybe in your same city, you can go to the link and you can find that. And photo managers do different things. So Holly, as she has expressed, does digital, and that's where her specialty or where she focuses. Like I do everything. So I transfer media, I handle all that. Holly's smart and she doesn't do any of that. So
I
media
do
and
actually, I do
video.
actually do that when I'm
Oh,
working with both
sorry.
collections. But yeah, but I specialize in digital. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that gives her, she's a pro at that. She's super fast. She does it, So
Mhm.
anyway, photo managers do a little bit of everything. So you can find one that meets the needs that you have.
So can I ask another question related to that?
Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
sorry to interrupt, but so I hired somebody. Would I have to bring my computer, my Mac in, and all the hard drives and the flash drives and everything? Is that how that works?
Yeah, many of us work remotely. Like I work with clients all over the country, and so there are many ways that we can either remote access into your computer, or like I have people sending me stuff all the time. And so the if you go into the photo manager's website, and there's descriptions of what people do, and you'll find a number of people work remotely. So if there's not someone that's right in your town or right next to you, you can just go shopping for a photo manager that does things remotely. But we can do a lot via
Okay, another question on that regard. Giving somebody access to your computer is a little freaky, it's a little scary. So
yeah.
is everybody that's listed on that website, or have they been like bonded and insured and they're good people?
For
No,
sure, they're good
they
people.
yeah, they only have their the photo managers is an organization that we belong to. Each person has to personally do the different stuff, although you can see their name most of the time. They do have their photo in there. You can see who you're talking to. Anybody who's a pro, which is what you have access to, has taken numerous classes, gone to conferences, is accredited under the photo managers. So that's, I think that helps answer that
Yeah,
question.
we're not, I mean, the photo managers isn't guaranteed that we're bonded and insured and all of that kind of stuff, but many of us do have insurance. But I can tell you that, I mean, the people that do this work and that have been part of this organization, I've been a part of it for a long, long, long time. They have a heart for it, and there's a lot of professional integrity, like a lot, a lot, a lot. And I can tell you that people give me, what you're doing is you're turning over your whole memories, your whole life to them. And so take some time to do your research. Make sure you have some Zoom calls with them if you're worried about that. Make sure that you can build that trust, because there's a lot of really good people out there that do this work.
Thank you.
Yes.
Fair question.
And we have a code of ethics, as Kathy put in, agreeing to a code of ethics, and have been trained in privacy and advocacy. So it's believe me, we've taken a lot of classes for this, so that's very true. All right, let's go to the next question, which is, what is your oh, yeah, sorry, we did that one. How do you find out how much storage space you have?
Yeah, so it depends on if you're a PC or a Mac. If you're a Mac, both of them, you're going into your system settings, and there will be a storage in your system settings. So I think the best part is you'll open your settings, and then in the search bar, click storage, and it'll probably walk you right there. So depends on if you're a PC or Mac, it's going to be a different answer, but yeah, definitely check that out.
If you have a photo, if I copy a photo to a hub, what happens if I had to put that photo in folders for events?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Say that again.
Person who asked that question is still on. If you could come off mute or raise your hand, and we'll take you off mute. We'll come back to it just in case that they
Okay.
are still here. How do you find out how much storage? Oh, you already said that. How do you recommend weeding out of duplicates? And that's the question that we answered with the different, depends on the different systems that you have.
Yep.
Do you consider Dropbox to be a cloud storage?
Yeah. Yep, I do. I do. It's a nice option for PC users. To be honest, if you are an Apple Mac user, I would go iCloud, and I would take advantage of that Apple ecosystem that is just inherent in that system. If I'm a PC user though, I think Dropbox is a great solution for a cloud storage, because you can sync with your computer, so you can still own those originals on your computer. which is huge. So yeah, I like Dropbox.
Why would you choose Backblaze over Dropbox?
Okay, they're two different purposes I would choose them. Yeah, so Backblaze is pure backup. It's like if something goes sideways, you go to Backblaze to get it back, kind of thing. Whereas Dropbox can really serve as a syncing service, so you can access your photos from an app on your phone, from other computers, and have that backup at the same time. So they serve a little bit different purposes.
Absolutely. And I have Backblaze. I have Backblaze because I don't want to have to think about it.
Mhm.
It's backed up all the time. I don't touch it. I don't move it. I don't have to do anything. And I know that I'm clear. And in case something happens, I can go in and get the file and I don't have to deal with it. So I got enough to
Peace of
deal with.
mind, baby. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Just yes. How do you turn off optimized on your iPhone?
If you go to your settings, okay, you're gonna make me walk through it. Go to settings.
Oh, you got it.
Yep. Go to click on your name. Click on iCloud. Click on photos. And it will say, if you're syncing, it will say the little thing will be green, and underneath it'll say optimize iPhone storage or download and keep originals. Now, before you change that setting, you need to make sure that you have enough space on your device in order to have that in order to save the photos that you have. So you can tell how much it says manage storage on that same page, where like mine has 248 gigabytes of data. So if I were to change that to download originals, my phone would explode. Not really, it wouldn't, but it wouldn't work. And so you have to make sure that you have enough space if you're going to change that setting.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
I use Lightroom, which I love for editing, but it isn't the most user-friendly program. Is that a photo organizing program that would sync well? Is there, I think is what they meant to say, is there a photo organizing program that would sync well with Lightroom?
Um, Lightroom is a photo organizing program, so it wouldn't really sync. Yeah. So I mean, there's other photo organizing programs. If you find it confusing, you can still use Lightroom editing and that kind of thing. But Lightroom is a photo organizing program. So
Okay. What is the best way to have your iPhone photos automatically transferred to your PC?
I like using Dropbox or OneDrive. Those are my two go-tos. If you don't have any other kind of photo organizing program at work, like Mylio, for example, is another photo organizing program. If you're not using anyone, Dropbox does it and OneDrive does it. So you just have to you have to download those apps and then you have to turn them on. And if you want a free guide, you can go to my resources page that I gave you, and there's a free guide on how to do that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
And somebody had a question about Backblaze. Backblaze backs up your computer.
Yes.
It backs up the files, not just photos, your files. So just want to clarify that. Thank you. That was a great question because we didn't say that. We're just talking about photos, but it is everything.
Yep.
Which is a better digital hub, Apple Photos or Dropbox?
They're different. It depends if you're a PC or a Mac user. Like I said, if I'm a Mac user, I am Apple Photos all the way because of the ecosystem works so dang well. If I'm a PC user, I like either Dropbox or OneDrive. And so I would that's my answer. I'm sticking with it.
There you go. There you go. If you have your cloud service on one email address and get hacked and have to change your email address, say iCloud, then do you lose access to those photos?
You know what? That's a question for Apple. Because I don't know how changing email addresses work in the Apple world because it's much more than photos at that point. So I'm gonna have to send you to Apple support for that one.
Understood. And they have great support.
They have great support.
They have great support. So I think I asked you, how do you automatically move photos from your phone to your computer? Because you said it depends on your system.
Yep.
Um, so they're going to ask the question a different way. How do I find on my Dell computer what to copy and paste to the hub? And how do I do that and not lose the folders that I have made for events?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. So again, I'm kind of when I'm initially doing that gathering, I'm kind of a hunter and gatherer kind of person. And so the places that your photos are most likely to hang out are your pictures folder, your documents folder, sometimes your desktop has stuff on it, and sometimes your downloads folder. And so what I would do is I would go to each one of those and I would go to where you see, where you see photos, and I would just kind of hunt and pack your way through it. And then I would do a copy and a paste of the folder wherever the photos are. So unless the folder has lots of other non-photo things in it, for the most part, I would go grab that folder and just copy and paste it into your hub folder, that original sources computer folder, and then sort it out later. So but you can retain any events that you've created as long as you don't pull them out of those folders.
Absolutely. If I sync from my phone to photos, does the syncing pick up only photos that haven't already been moved over?
Yeah, so when you first, like if you were to, okay, again, this is a systems thing, but if we're talking a PC, I think they're probably a PC person the way that they asked that question. So if, for example, you set up Dropbox or you set up OneDrive, the first run is going to download everything. After that, it only downloads the new stuff.
Okay. Okay. I'm on an Apple and my photos are organized differently on my computer and my iPhone. I was told by one Apple advisor that if you take advantage of the storage/sync opportunities, it will integrate all those photos into one alphabetized set of folders instead of keeping them separate. Is that your understanding, Holly?
Yeah, so what I think they're saying is that if you use iCloud, your phone photos will sync with your Apple Photos library, and all of the photos will be in both places. As far as that last part, I don't like alphabetizing. That's not a thing really in Apple Photos. You're usually either you're sorting by file name, which I guess maybe that might be, but most of the time in Apple Photos, when you go to that first view of it, it's going to be chronological.
Um, no computers are made with CD readers anymore. Is there a service recommended for extracting photos from old CDs?
Yeah, what I would do is I would go to Amazon and sorry, Kimberly, I didn't let you finish.
That's right. There's the thing that you have to be careful with CDs is, yes, there's photos, but there may be old movies and the file might be so old that you have to compress and change those so you can actually see the movies. So just be aware of that. A lot of people don't have forgotten because it's so long ago, but you can buy a
Yeah.
CD player from Amazon.
Yeah, so I would go and get a portable CD and then you can see what's on there. So I always say if you plug it in, so you plug in the external reader and you put the CD in, and if it starts playing a movie, that means it's a DVD formatted thing. It's a video and it's a totally different process than if it's photos. If it is photos, you're going to be able to kind of see them and they'll line up just like any other file would. But yes, so you're right. No one makes them with CD readers anymore, but you don't need to take it somewhere. You can do it yourself if you're willing to invest like $25 in a CD reader.
Yeah. And if you don't, that's not something that you want to do. I transfer, Holly transfers. Most photo managers do that because we get that all the time when we're working with stuff. So it's not a big deal. So if I'm a Mac user and I want to optimize my photos, can I create a library that syncs to the external drive, still automatically syncing?
Um, yes. So there's a lot of pieces to that question. So if you're optimizing on your computer because you don't have enough space, you can't on that user also download originals and if kind of thing. So you have to, if you are going to use an external drive, you have to have that external drive plugged into your Mac to read your photos library. There's a workaround by creating a second user where your first user is your optimized images because you don't want to carry around that external drive all the time. And then now and then you open up a second user, set up an Apple library, and do that. So we're gonna get in the weeds if I go real deep in that. So there's workarounds for lots of things like that, but you can't do both optimizing and downloading originals in the same user.
That is why you have an expert like Holly. That's why you might become very, very frustrated and want to throw your computer in the wall. And that's why you get Holly. There you go. And Kathy liked that one. Okay. So, what is the best way to sort and deal with videos and motion photos created on your iPhone? Because this person happens to be a PC user.
Okay, so best way to deal with videos on your iPhone if you're a PC user. I think the best way to do things is get them off of your phone and onto a computer where you can actually do something with them. Thing to note is when you use, if you're using OneDrive, Dropbox, anything, when you download or when you load your photos from an iPhone onto a PC, if you have live photos, you're going to get you know what a live photo is? Live photo is that little motion, which you can shut off in your camera roll, causes a lot of clutter. Shut it off unless you love those 1 second videos. So so a live photo is, if you have live photos, it's going to download as both the picture and the live photo. So just so you know that. But other than that, pictures and videos are very similar. You can just download them into your library and you can watch them right on your computer. I like to, for my PC users, I sort them out a lot. So because you enjoy videos a little different than your pictures, but definitely get them off of your phone and you can watch them on your computer.
Yes, if you don't want live, there's a button on the upper right-hand side. Just click it, and then you
Your
don't have live
camera.
anymore because live takes more memory unless you really love live.
Yeah.
Let's see. When you copy and paste photos to the hub, do you delete the photos from their original location?
Oh, I love that question so much. Here's what I do. I will gather everything. For example, on my computer, if I'm doing my hunting and gathering thing, I will gather everything from my computer and move it to a central folder because it's still within that computer, right? And then I will copy it from that central folder into my digital hub. And the reason that I do that is because if something goes sideways when you're doing the copy, it's scary, right? And so, or if you do a move, if you just move it from here to here, if something goes sideways, you don't like that. So I make sure everything is safe, safe, safe in my digital hub, and then I go back and delete. But I can't tell you how important it is to go back and delete because number one, it takes up loads of space. But number two, you're gonna forget. If you're like me, you're gonna forget like in a day what you moved and what you didn't move. And so you're just gonna create that mess all over again. So get it all into one place and then copy it until you know it's safe, safe, safe and backed up, and then go back and delete.
Always assume something's going to happen and then you're safe. If you don't assume it the one time,
Yeah.
it won't be a pretty picture. How do I set up original source folder structure with photos on my Mac?
Yeah, so if you're just using Mac in Finder, it's the same thing. It's that structure that I showed you. It's original sources folder, under it, computer, phone, external drive, memory card, whatever, wherever your sources are, and just copy and paste into there. And then ultimately, if you're a Mac user, upload those to Apple Photos.
Absolutely. Holly, how much would it cost to organize 80,000 photos?
Oh, that is 100% dependent on your situation.
Yep.
I can tell you that, let me just tell you about how pricing works for photo managers. We all do it differently. So some of us charge by the hour. Others, like other people, charge in packages. So like for me, I charge in packages. So if you called me and we had a consult, I could tell you how much it would cost. If I knew that you had 80,000 photos, I could tell you exactly how much it would cost you. I'm not going to share that here, but if you want to call me and do a consult, happy to share that. But some people will charge by the hour as well. So, I mean, it's not hundreds of dollars, it's thousands of dollars, just so people have a realistic expectation, because it takes hours to organize a library of that size. And so we always just want to like be real with you. We spend hours and hours and hours on your memories, and so there's a cost to that. But it's
Holly,
100% worth it because we do it and once, and we do it well once, and then you don't have to do it again. So
absolutely. So Holly, if they went to the website, do you give free consultations?
do, and I think most photo
And
managers
can
do.
you sign up on your website?
Mhm. Yep.
Okay, great. I do the same thing. You can get a 20-minute consultation. We'll talk about what, set your goals, all that kind of stuff. Most photo managers do, because we want you to understand what the process is, because we understand the number one challenge is that no one knows about our services and that we exist, and we have to explain it because there's a lot to explain, as you learned in this particular class and with our expert Holly.
Mhm.
Um, okay, if you have a CD reader, how do you then get it into your Mac? The CD reader will have two different ends, and you put it in one of the most Macs don't have USB anymore, so USB-A. And there's a program, and you put it's very easy, and it comes with directions. It's not that challenging.
Mhm.
Let's see. So Mary, this is a question for you. This will be a replay on our site?
Yes, we're going to be sending out the replay either this week or next week.
Because it takes a while to get these formatted correctly. And Mary, is that sent out to everyone who's already signed up?
Yes, everyone who signed up for the webinar will receive the recording.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, would anybody want to come off mic and ask any other question to our wonderful Holly today? See, everybody knows exactly what they're going to do now. They have no
Awesome.
questions
I
because you've
love
done
it.
such a great job.
Yeah.
All right.
And you might think of more as you're noodling this or whatever. And there's so many resources. I think Mary put it in also. There's a YouTube channel for the photo managers, and there are loads of videos out there talking about many of the things that we talked about today.
Oh, we have Susan who has her hand up, and while she's taking just a second, Susan, Holly's website is on there. My website is on there. Just check your chat, and if you go to the very, 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 very top of the chat, there's 3 dots, and if you press those dots, the first word that comes up is save chat, and that way you have all that information, so you don't have to cut and paste. That might be helpful to somebody. Susan, what is your question?
My question is, I've been an Apple user for a long time. I used to use PhotoStream, so all of my phone pictures were automatically downloaded into my computer. I didn't have it going in the other direction. And now you can't get it to do that unless you sign up for the overall universe, where, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a little concerned that they mix your files together. That's what they told me. Not just, they told me the person may not have known what they were talking about. But my question is, I've never just tried to use a link, a wire to go from my phone into my computer. I mean, can I just plug in like the equivalent of a USB to go from the phone to the computer with the photos?
Yeah, you can do that, but you're not going to sync your photos from your phone to, like the photos from your computer are not going to sync onto your phone doing that.
I
So
don't
it
want
doesn't
to.
work that way.
I
But
just
just to
want
get them from your phone to your computer, you can definitely do that. But I also want to say that iCloud is very reliable. I mean, they're very, very reliable. Photos don't get mixed up. That's not a thing. I've never ever. Have you ever heard of that, Kimberly?
It's not a question of mixed up. I said to her, what happens to your files? I have them filed differently, entirely different filing system on the phone and the computer. And she said, she didn't say they just go into the library chronologically, which we understand. She said, they're going to take your system as you have it, which is not alphabetical, and they are going to make all the files alphabetical so that you can no longer find your system as you have it.
I mean, you have to get used to, I mean, there's a transition. 100%. I thought you meant like other people's photos or get mixed up with your photos. I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. So you do, I mean, you can retain all of your albums and all that. All of that will be retained, but is it going to look exactly the same? It may not. And so you're going to have to, once you merge all of them, you're going to have to clean it up and get it to how you want it, and then going forward you'll be great. So it's worth it for the ease, because they just go into your library automatically. You don't have to do anything, so you even have to get the cord out. So I don't know, I'm a little lazy, and so I love that part of Apple Photos.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Holly, thing is, Cornell said that it was a little overwhelming, but you broke it down. You both broke it down and giving them a great start. So that made me feel good, because it is complicated. We completely understand that, because everybody has a different need, desire, want, goal, etc. So we have to do individually with everybody when we're working with them.
Absolutely.
There was a great question. Oh, early in digital photos, I used a Kodak program, and I did the same thing, by the way. My photos show up as corrupted. How can these be saved and restored? I might have an answer, but I'm going to let Holly.
You go ahead. You do.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So a lot of times with these older programs, what I have found, and we do this all the time. This is not something special. Just Google it. I have found that when I have older programs that people bring me, or they have their photos stored, like the Kodak photos, a lot of times there's people who have figured out a system to be able to transfer those over. It may be your system. One of the ways that I might suggest you look at it is the VLC media player. That's a free system. It's what is that called? Sourced users. I'm blanking what the source is, but anyway, it's VLC, and it sometimes can pull things down that other things can't, and it's open source. It's an open source software. That's the word I wanted. So, I think that we have all
Good.
of the verbal questions. We have all of the printed questions. Holly, you did such a great job! Yay! Thank you. And if you have any other questions, Mary has put in these fabulous links to everybody so that you can find the person that you want. Holly and my's address. I know that we would be happy to shoot you to wherever, if you're not sure about something. And we are just grateful that you've taken your time today to come in, and good luck. We all can do hard things. And photo organizing is not easy, but the reward is fabulous. Well, I'm going to say thank you for everybody, since we don't have any more questions. And we look maybe forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Thanks so much.